Coming up, we'll address mental health challenges facing parents today with our special Family in Focus panel of guests.
Welcome to the 700 Club Canada, and back again are Roxanne Francis, a psychotherapist from Francis Psychotherapy, and Dr. Andrew Blackwood. We call him Andrew, Coach Drew. We call him Andrew because that's his name. Healing and communications consultant and parenting coach. Thank you so much for being here.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. Thank you. This has been so helpful, not only for us, but I know for so many watching.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, we want to sort of clarify, just pause for a moment, because we're talking about mental health. There's so many ideas about what that is. At what point do we address something as being a mental health issue? Roxanne?
Well, mental health is on a spectrum, just like your physical health, right? You can be very healthy, moderately so, or unhealthy. And the same can be said for your mental health. But when we know when we have an issue is when the things that you're dealing with start to impact your daily functioning. You know, everyone gets anxious. That's just a part of who we are as human beings. But when that anxiety starts to impact your connection with your family, your day-to-day activity, being able to go to work or go to school or communicate or participate in your community, then we're having an issue.
That's so helpful, isn't it, Bill? Because I think it's easy to just blanket everything as I'm having a mental health issue.
Right. And I think you're right. When you can no longer function normally. I love that. Now, you both believe that destigmatizing and discussing mental health with your family is really essential. So why is that so important?
Well, I mean, to Roxanne's point, we all have a unique capacity for life and to think and to feel. Everybody's a little bit different. And instead of seeing challenges as things that are getting in the way of our capacity to function, to think, to process, we sometimes see things as a disease or something you can catch or something that's befallen you that is, you know, oh my God, like, we got to get you help. We got to take you to go see a coach or a psychotherapist. We got to, and it creates this distance between us as opposed to normalizing, okay, well, figuring out what's going on here? Because everybody has a degree of mental health and wellness, and everybody's ability to function gets impaired and impacted at some point in their lives. This is a part of everyday life. But when we say, oh, you got mental health, that's very different than saying, okay, what's going on? You look like you're feeling anxious. What's going through your mind? Help me understand. This is not new. This is a part of life.
Yeah, and so Roxanne, you're a psychotherapist and a mom.
I am.
So, okay, how do those two worlds mix, and how do you talk to your boys about mental health?
Yes, those worlds collide. Interestingly, and I literally practice what I preach every single day as I parent. One of the things that we do, and I talk to parents all the time about this, is, you know, to Andrew's point, normalizing some of these issues, right? Talking about their own anxiety, you know, my own worries sometimes. Sometimes they have peers who may have a diagnosis of one thing or the other, and we talk about what that's like and what they understand it to be and how things can impact them. We talk about the importance of talking, right? You know, my older son and I, we have this thing where if there's something bothering him, sometimes he might not want to talk about it in the moment, but he'll say, let's have our bedtime chat. Because that's when his mind gets quiet and all the important things come to the surface, and we have a chat at bedtime and it settles him before he can go to bed. I talk to parents also around resources that they can access in the community. And, you know, if there is a particular phone number or a mental health organization or a crisis line for children, I encourage parents to put that number on the fridge. Talk to the children about what that number is and how they can use it. You know, as parents, we want to be the direct person, the first person that our children will come to. But sometimes they won't. Sometimes they'll go to Uncle so-and-so or Aunt so-and-so or grandmother or mom's best friend. Or if it's a crisis line for children, then at least it's there and it's accessible. And we talk to the children about what it's for. It can't just be that the only time we can access support is if we need to dial 911, right? We need to give the children the resources and talk about things openly so they know how they can access support.
Right. So if I'm hearing you correctly, what I'm hearing is don't communicate to your children that they're somehow abnormal or broken or unrepairable because they're struggling with some mental health issue. Rather, normalize it in the sense that, hey, we all struggle in different areas, some more intensely than others,
Yes.
but let's work through this together to find a solution.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay.
Because when we normalize the ebb and flow of life,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Seasons too.
there
Yes,
are precisely there are
100%.
seasons. One of the reasons why teenagers really struggle around high school is because they're invited to think about the rest of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And what am I going to do?
Right.
And if I don't know what I'm going to do, where I'm going to end up, then it just cycles in because we
Right.
talked about this earlier. We tend to fill in the blanks of uncertainty with things that make us anxious because we don't know. We feel this
Right.
pressure. Well, I have to. Nobody knows.
Right, exactly.
Nobody knows where they're going to end up.
Right.
Like, I have not met one person who said, you know, this is where I knew I was going to be,
Yeah.
and everything lined up perfectly. That's just not the way life is.
Right.
So when we can tolerate, okay, it's a stressful time. Okay, well, this makes sense, right? We can start to really understand. And I tell people all the time, the road to healing is paved with understanding.
Yes.
I love
Yes.
that.
When you start to understand yourself and understand what's going on, what's at the heart of these things for you, then we start to come back to ourselves and our ability to function optimally.
Yeah, that's so good. And I just love, you said this word a few times this week, Andrew, opportunity.
Mm.
Right? When we talk about things, when we normalize things, it's an opportunity, right? For growth, like we would in any area. I was a teacher for a long time. And the opportunity for growth in learning or development of any kind is when we, in many ways, de-escalate that negative potential idea of the future and ask what is happening right now.
Exactly.
100%.
And that's a great resource for us as parents to recognize not the what ifs, but the what is.
Mm-hmm.
And
We face
centers us.
challenges every single day.
Yeah.
One of the questions I ask my kids quite often is, okay, so what was most challenging for you today?
Good.
And how did you meet that challenge? Whether or not they succeeded at what they wanted to do or they didn't really doesn't matter. We're engaging around, okay, that was challenging. Well, this was what was challenging for me today. Because a lot of the times we feel powerless and we feel stuck and we don't function well when we feel vulnerable and powerless. But just being able to stop and think and reflect to, you know, say, okay, well, this is what I would do differently next time around. Because the next time around is coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.
It is
Right.
coming.
Even more intense.
Right?
Well, that is so powerful. We want to continue this conversation. And so we're going to keep talking about mental health with parenting and with Dr. Andrew Blackwood and Roxanne Francis in a moment.
If you or someone you know is struggling today, we want to help you find hope and healing. Call our prayer lines at 1-855-759-0700 and you'll receive Successful Families and our Book of Hope. We'd love to pray for you and provide you with the tools for your journey towards wholeness. We're offering them for free when you call today.
Well, thank you so much, Roxanne and Dr. Drew, as we call you, just for being here and enlightening us. Like as I'm looking back and reflecting on my own life, I'm seeing, kind of the good, the bad, the ugly, but it's never too late, is it? It's never too late to become more aware and healthier in our relationships. And, we talk about many things related to mental health, but as professionals in this field, what do you see coming into your offices or into your, in regards to families and children specifically?
In my practice, my team and I often see parents who are wrestling with how they were parented and how it's spilling over into their own parenting and wanting to make a shift, wanting to change that narrative, worrying that it might be too late. Oftentimes, we see clashes between teenagers and their parents. And what I'm realizing is that I'm doing a lot of educating for parents because they're not recognizing that some of the challenges that they're getting from their teens is actually age appropriate. Right? And so sometimes parents will come in and they will say, well, my child is having a mental health concern. And when we unpack it, this is actually appropriate, right? Your child is supposed to grow away from you when they're 17 years old, right? They're no longer 5. They don't think that everything that you say is correct, right? They are going to disagree with you. They're going to individuate. And some of that is okay. And when we unpack that with our parents, the parents take a deep breath and they go, oh, okay. So, and then it changes the relationship that they have with their teen because they're no longer thinking my teen is broken. Yes, right? And so it takes off some of the pressure in the family. I also see anxiety and depression, some of that from, what's going on in our society. Sometimes a shift in family dynamics. But helping the children to understand that they're not alone. I think we spoke about that earlier this week. Sometimes the trauma isn't necessarily what has happened to the young person, but feeling that they're alone with that thing. And so helping the parents come alongside their youth in that.
So what you're saying is,
I love that.
Don't control to fix, but direct to release.
I love that.
Right.
Write that down.
Right. So your job isn't to control every environment to fix them.
Right.
Your job is to direct them so they can be released as fully functioning, autonomous human beings.
Yes. 100%.
That's success. Oh, I love that.
What do you see, Andrew?
One of the things that happens when parents eventually reach out. I wish parents would reach out a whole lot sooner.
That's a very good point.
They find themselves at this place where I don't know what to do and I don't know what to say. And what we want to actually be able to do is scroll back and realize what it is that you actually have to offer. Parents have so much to offer. Like you're saying, we're not really trying to change our children. When that's our objective, then we become controlling. Right? We want to tell them what to do and how to do it and when to do it. But as parents who love our children, we can actually pull back and think about who these children are. Who did God create you to be? Like, remember who that person is. That's one of the things that I start with parents. I pull back and we take a different look about what is prayer, right? A lot of the times we go to God and, desperation, God, please, please, please. But that just reinforces the anxiety, right? But when we pull back and we go to God and say, thank you for this child. They are so, and have a template, you fill in the blanks. Literally.
Amazing.
They are so wonderful, they are so warm. It reminds you of who this child is. And then you think about, where do you want to see this child going and growing? And you shift from what they're not doing to what you want to see them doing. And more times than not, parents and children, they want the same thing.
Right.
Who wants to feel anxious? Who wants to feel angry and out of control? Nobody does.
Right.
So it shifts us to say, okay, you know what? This is what I believe you want from my child, God. Let me find out from my child what it is that they want. Are we in alignment? And it's a completely different approach.
I love that.
Well, I can tell you, what you just shared there did transform me as a parent. In years where our kids were not living the lifestyle and having the values that we thought and wanted them to have for good reason, we got good advice because we went to a counselor. And I think there's just a lesson here. Go to get wise counsel, not just in the crisis, but like seek help. And the counsel was given, my husband and I, like, you're kind of forgetting, you're looking at these behaviors, but you're forgetting who your children really are. Let's go back there. Do you know that calling out the best in our kids when we didn't actually see it was the best thing we could do. And then they knew we loved them and we actually saw that in them and we weren't all harping on all the things we didn't like. It was restorative in our family. So I just wanted to reinforce that. Like, that is so powerful when you're able to do that.
Yeah, so if parents do need help right now, they're watching, or grandparents, what would you suggest? What are some steps they could take to find the help they need?
Well, we love to help. We love to help, right? That's part of our season of service, right? info@coachdrew.ca. You can always reach out.
Okay, how about you, Roxanne?
Yeah, you can find me at hello@Francis Psychotherapy. Myself and my team, we're here. We support children and adults, couples, parents, all throughout the lifespan. And we support all kinds of mental health issues, but relationship issues, stress issues, and we are happy to support. I think one of the things that people don't understand is that there is no shame in accessing support.
Yes.
Getting support, getting advice doesn't mean that you can't parent. It doesn't mean that your child is broken. It doesn't mean that your home is dysfunctional. I mean, there are some homes that need some more help than others, but being proactive, I mean, you're going to take your car in for service and not only ask for help when you're stranded on the highway. Right? Don't wait for a crisis. If you are looking to understand your child more, there's nothing wrong with getting some support.
Well, an athlete going to strength and conditioning, we don't say, oh, there's something wrong with the athlete. No, they're just working on their skill to be even better. And we want you to know that if you need help today, you can also call us at any time, and we can help direct you in some way, but at least pray with you. But now, this is how Robert discovered that God is a God of second chances.
Once you catch your first wave, you know, you fall in love with it. I think everybody that's ever caught a wave, I don't think you can help but fall in love with it. The traveling, the adventure, you know, surfers go to crazy places to seek out waves and have crazy adventures from it, and I liked all of that.
When Robert McDaniel discovered surfing in his early teens, it was a bright spot in a life that was otherwise dark and empty.
I was insecure. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't think that I had value. What's this life all about? Without any belief in God, I couldn't answer that question. I couldn't answer what's my purpose in life.
Prescription drug abuse gave him a short-term escape from his thoughts, but it came at a high cost.
When I got into drugs, I stopped surfing. I stopped all water sports and stopped skateboarding, all these extreme sports that I loved. I was going from doctor to doctor, getting scripts, and I'd take, on some days, I'd end up taking 60 pills within a day and not even end up being in the hospital from that. It turned into other drugs, cocaine, and some street drugs. I had daily thoughts of suicide. I had no friends because I'd driven most of them away.
Robert's suicidal thoughts eventually became suicide attempts.
I just didn't want to be a part of life. I went to my mom's house. I knew my dad had guns in his closet, and so my mom was there. She knew something was going on, but I had locked their bedroom door after I went in, so she immediately called the cops, and I walked into my dad's closet, grabbed one of his guns and was looking for the ammunition, trying to match he had a box of ammo. When I found some, about the same time, 3 or 4 police officers broke down the door of the closet, and I had a gun to my head, and then one of them shot a rubber bullet, hitting my hand, knocking the gun out of my hand. And that followed with me getting put in a behavioral correctional facility for 2 weeks. And as the drugs left my system, I felt more and more like, hey, this is not the life I want, you know, but I still didn't know the life that I wanted.
Soon after, Robert met for coffee with an old friend who was a Christian.
I remember telling him, I don't think I can change, and I don't think I can stop doing what I'm doing. He challenged me. He said, hey, you got to give God permission to work in your life, you know. So much of your life you've spent running from him, and what I'd like you to do is just write down on a piece of paper a contract with God, just telling him, God, I give you permission to work in my life, to change my life. So I did that. I wrote down, God, whatever it takes.
Desperate to hear from God, he opened a Bible to Isaiah and began reading as he entered his house.
I was in tears because I was wanting so badly for God to intervene in my life. And I closed the door, simultaneously reading this verse that said, close the door behind you. I knew the Bible's a big book, and of all the scripture I could have been reading, I was reading close the door. And then while the Lord's wrath passes you by, I just broke down in tears. Because I thought of all the bad things that I had done in my life and all the people I stole from. The lying was such a daily part of my life because I didn't want to tell people that I was a drug addict and I had these issues. So I became kind of a compulsive liar, and I just broke down right there in my apartment on the floor, crying and weeping. And I felt like God met me very powerfully, and I remember just thinking, this book's real. Everything I read, I had these new eyes. As I was reading, I was like, this book is telling me how to live. It's telling me this is a key to life, and it felt so real. It changed the trajectory of my life. I was on a dead-end road, and I was going nowhere, and here this guy introduces God to me, and God has changed my life. So that moment is always gonna make me emotional. I found freedom, I found hope. My life's been renewed. All of a sudden I had a purpose, and you know, the Bible tells us we're to bear fruit, and that became my life's mission, that became my goal. And I had a God that I was in love with, that I wanted to bear fruit for, that I wanted to do good works for. I've just watched God change me in almost every way you can think of.
In 2007, Robert sold everything he owned and joined Surfing the Nations, a humanitarian missions group based in Hawaii.
After I had become a Christian, after I joined Surfing the Nations, I just thought to myself, everything in my life has been redeemed. I thought, God has given me the desires of my heart to surf and to travel the world, something I wanted as a kid. And I feel like he does that a lot with people. When they submit to him, he gives you your dreams back in ways that you don't expect or can't even imagine. Now I'm counseling people that have dealt with drug issues. I'm working with young kids from all over the world and kind of helping them grow in ways that I've seen God grow me.
The emptiness he endured for so long has been filled as Rob put his life in God's hands.
I have a family, I have a wife, a son, I have a job that I love. Just give God permission to work in your life, because that's where it starts. You've got to allow God to be God. In the end, God's the only one that can fill that void.
2 Corinthians 4:6 says, "For God, who said, 'Let light shine out of darkness,' made his light shine in our hearts to give us the light of the knowledge of God's glory displayed in the face of Christ. But we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us." What does that mean? Well, this letter was written to a group of people in a place called Corinth, and Corinth was famous for its black pottery, a special kind of pottery, and again, they thought that was the be-all and end-all, and they'd become very prosperous as a result. But Paul reminds them that a pot, whether it's black pottery or just clay pottery, is still fragile, that the value is not in the context of the pot, but what is in the pot, the content. And in the same way, we need to understand that today. The reality is we are fragile. We are weak. This world will, if we allow it, press and crush us. But the promise is that if we allow God's power, His life, His light to fill us, we cannot be crushed. We can push back against the pressure of our culture. And so today, I know maybe you feel fragile, you feel vulnerable. Maybe the conversation we've had today has exposed some things in your life and you're feeling very susceptible right now. I want to encourage you that if God is in you, greater is He that is in you than he that is in the world. You can be free today. And if you need help, we'd love to pray with you. Please call us today at 1-855-759-0700. We have this great resource entitled Free Indeed. We'll be right back.
In whatever circumstance you face, God wants you to have victory.
It's not too late. Believe that God wants to do a miracle in your life.
And if you need to talk with someone who understands,
all you have to do is call us at 1-855-759-0700.
A prayer partner is waiting to listen and pray with you today. Well, one thing I just love about what we get to do at 700 Club Canada with your help is share life-changing stories and also listen and learn And that's what I feel like we're doing all this week. We're listening and learning about ourselves, about how we can parent and be a healthier family together. I hope it's encouraging you. Canada needs this. Will you partner with us? Start at $20 a month. Use Pledge Express. It's an easy way to give. And our gift to you for becoming a monthly partner is our new teaching by Gordon Robertson, Divine Direction. So why don't you partner with us and let's transform families across this nation. 1-855-759-0700.
Where did I come from? Who am I? Where am I going?
These questions determine the course of your life.
CBN presents Divine Direction, God's blueprint for your future. In this original audio teaching, Gordon Robertson tackles these vital questions.
And the answers can remake your image of yourself.
Start your new year with an encouraging message about God's plan for you.
Well, Lori, I have continued to learn and lean into some of the things we've been talking about this week, and they're so important because they are issues that most of us, if not all of us, are facing. And we want you to know today that you are not alone, that you can call us right now at 1-855-759-0700. We have a couple of great resources that are available to you today. The Book of Hope and this pamphlet called Successful Families. So don't hesitate to call us and have your needs prayed for, and we'd love to give you these resources.
Well, I think we're reminded today, Bill, don't wait for the crisis to get help. It's actually good that you reach out. I know for Dean and I mean, we had to get ourselves into a counseling office in a moment of crisis.
Right.
But what it taught us was this is a good place to be, and it's going to become a practice. And I think, if we're open to learning, open to receiving help, it's actually one of the best things we can do for ourselves and our families.
Well, yeah, if there's a wound, you don't ignore it, you clean and address it right away, or it will become infected and far worse. And so if you're going through something, reach out. If you go to a church, reach out to your church family, get professional help, read a great book, get a resource from us. We are here for you.
Yeah, and prayer requests. Shannon, you said, please pray for my daughter to overcome her drug addiction and depression. And Amelia, you said, please pray for the healing of my depression and for continued faith in Jesus. Well, Bill, will you just lead us in prayer for that?
Yeah, so God, I pray for both Shannon and Amelia. They both asked for prayer for this mental issue they're battling, depression, anxiety, fear, whatever that is. I just pray that whatever the source of that is, that you would reveal it to them so that they could have your healing power speak directly to that they can have certainty, God, that you are going to work all things together for good, regardless of how we feel or what we see. We trust that in Jesus' name. Amen.
Well, thanks for joining us, and join us tomorrow because we've got more to learn.
To contact us, visit 700club.ca.
Tomorrow on the 700 Club Canada, is anxiety on the rise in children? Find out tomorrow as Family in Focus Week continues.